Hello, this is Vexx, and welcome back to Tyranny. If you may recall in our last video, we continued on with helping Verse towards her revenge. Yes, I said continued, not finished. We are finished for now, because we don't know the location of the last of her sister's killers, but we will continue that as soon as we can. We are currently in the court of Tunon and the bastard city, as it were. As you may recall, a missive came in asking us to come talk with our Fatebinder brothers or group. I'm not sure, but here we are. Got nobles here. None of these people seem all that interesting. Oh, but we got this lady Lucretius. I believe we spoke with her briefly last time, but let's just see if she has anything new to say. Nope. She has nothing new to discuss. We do have our three Fatebinder brothers up here. Or cohorts. I'm not sure their genders off the top of my head. Naval, Calio, and Regalis. Well, let's actually speak with them all in kind. Since I got my pointer on Regalis, let's see what he has to say first and foremost. Fatebinder, you return. Regalis looks you up and down with an inscrutable expression. You look as if you have questions for me to untangle. Ask, I'm feeling generous today. Okay, we actually have nothing new to say to him. What about Calio? Regards, Vexx. You look as if you need something. Calio tips her head to one side, a glimmer of curiosity in her dark, discerning eyes. What can I do for you? Calio touches a gentle hand to your shoulder. We do have one thing for Calio. You wrote that you could illuminate the darker corners of Tyranny. She glances at your cadre. In a private missive, yes. These are things I won't discuss within the hearing of outside ears. We can address Calio. Anything you can say to me, they can hear. We can address our followers. I need to speak to the Fatebinder privately, or then I suppose we'll have to discuss other matters. I'm going to speak with the Fatebinder privately. I suppose not every conversation need to be recorded. The sage shuffles away. Siren rolls her eyes. As if I had any interest in all this gossip. Pardon me while an actual conversation... Sorry, let's try that again. Pardon me while I find an actual conversation to engage in. Perhaps on the inadequacies of the levy, in which the adjudicator garbs his puffed-up jesters. She walks off. The hulking man shrugs. As you wish. He takes a position outside of hearing range, standing just shy of at attention. A sly smile dimples her left cheek. I confess to no small amount of curiosity. I peek into my share of shadows, and sometimes I scrounge up a secret. What excites your interests? And now we've got a couple choices of things to ask him. We can discuss the Archons and their forces. We can ask him about the rest of Tyranny. I thought you might have an interesting take on matters arcane. I'd like to pick your brain regarding lore historical, or I hoped I might get your perspective on the Overlord. And finally, that's all. Well, I don't know if we're going to be able to go through all of them or not, but let's try. We'll start off with asking about the Archons and their forces. Entirely understandable given the circumstances. How can I enlighten you? Why do the Archons have such unusual names? Is yours so typical? She asks, palms offered, followed by a shrug. Tunon claims that his name has always been Tunon, much as he expects us to carry out our service without resorting resorting to sobriquets or pseudonyms. Our Archon of War was only Ash before Kairos added the Graven. And Karn, she lapses into a momentary considered silence. I've always suspected that was the Overlord's private joke. She shakes her head as if rattling the idea free. Suffice to say that when you've drawn that much attention, you're called what the Overlord calls you. Okay, that's all for the Archons. Looks like we might be able to go with everything. What next then, my curious friend? I want to ask you about the rest of Taratus. I've done more than a little traveling in my role as Tunon's agent. What would you want to know? Do you know any of the legends from the rest of Taratus? Fatebinder frowns. That can be a dangerous question, Vexx. If you're asking after stories of Archons, great warriors, or those who defied the Overlord, I direct you to Regalis or Archon Tunon. Maybe even the Voices in Rot, if he can stomach his company. Well, he's definitely not going to stomach ours. Or, I'm sure your pet sage would be happy to enlighten you. I can't imagine why else you would shelter him, if not for his historical commentary. But if you seek the superstitions drivel from the kingdoms tend to cling to before the Overlord comes to sweep it away in favor of order and reason, well, Kairos forbids the knowledge for a reason. I recommend against the pursuit of folklore on general principle. Okay, enough about Tartarus. She's not entirely helpful so far. But what about matters of the arcane? And you come to me, she chuckles. Don't let the Fatebinder of Lore know. He'll never forgive you. What answers do you seek? I think she's referring to Regalis here, who we already know has nothing to say to us, or at least nothing new to say to us. We can ask her, what do you know about sigils and their casting? Do you know anything about the movement of the Celestial Spire? Or that's everything for now. I wonder what she knows about the sigils. I'm a practical magician, not a theorist. If you're looking for the whys of magic, I direct you to Regalis. You know, I'm sure the sigils are derived from their personal marks of the Archons. My understanding is it goes a bit deeper than that. There's something of a question about whether the Archons are stamping their will notably on Taratus or unearthing some hitherto unknown aspect of magic and giving shape to it. It's one of those questions that serve little pragmatic purpose. Some Archons, like occulted Jade of the Tidecasters, teach their sigils to their followers, building a group of supporters. Other times, in the case of Syrian, the sigil is developed by those studying the Archon's work. In many cases, Archon Karns come for instance. It's a little of both. Most guilds guard their secrets closely, but secrets have a way of slipping free. The oldest sigils can be uncovered by those who know where to look, hidden within scrolls squirreled away in libraries or even in the larger markets. Which explains how we can learn sigils by buying them in stores. Why have we not been taught the sigils of Tunon or Bledenmark? Notice that, did ya? She grins. I wouldn't presume to speculate on the Archon's motives, nor would I encourage you to. Quite the opposite, in fact. She taps her lips. It's probably for the best, honestly. The court of Fatebinders elicit enough fear among the citizenry and envy among the Archons as is. More power could very well make our work more difficult rather than less. Well, I can see what she's saying there. Now, let's see if she knows anything about the Celestial Spire. She tucks her head against her right eye. She tucks a strand of her hair behind her right ear. I'm no astrologist, but I believe but I have the basics. They are the stars which seem to ferment in the eye, yet shift with the seasons. They serve as a constant source of superstition among those who have yet to come under the Overlord's rule. They speak of the constellations as an ascended archon and mystic monsters. She grins. All very illegal. The archon has dedicated the proper names for the Asteriums and the correct method in which to interpret their movements. Karatas' grave, of course, dominates the night sky, locked in place above us as interlopers slip silently from horizon to horizon each night. But everyone knows about them. A tidecaster might be able to tell you more, were one willing to speak openly. Other parameters exist, of course, matters less well understood. The comets, planets, and aurora, she shrugs, all beautiful and silent, useful in navigation and time measurement, and for the pale light they provide, but very little else. I wonder if, well, I guess our friends aren't nearby, but I wonder if we would say anything you could say in front of my friends, and we had Ebb here with us, she would speak up. Although I have a feeling Calio would mention something about talk to Ebb if she were here. What next then, my curious Fred? I'd like to pick your brain about regarding lore historical. I can't claim to be a greater expert than Fatebinder Vexx, but I'll happily offer my perspective. Is there anything you can tell me about the sages? Fatebinder Vexx audibly harumps before turning his back to the conversation. She chuckles. Besides the obvious and apathy that our compatriot holds for them, the School of Ink and Quill were an interesting bunch. Not widely different from our own order, in my opinion. Like us, they observe and study, seek knowledge and arcane power, and cultivate some of the less obvious skills that aid in those endeavors. Sages as often know as well how to pick a lock or slip undetected through a manner as they know how to craft a missive or weave a cantrip. Had they not been so fucking selfish and short-sighted, they might have made admirable allies to our cause. A sigh escapes her. The School of Ink and Quill were but the last of the guilds, or schools, as the Tearsman calls their guilds, dedicated to recording their own little histories. Over the centuries, these local historians each met the advance of the Overlord. Some joined us, others perished. All now know Kairos' history. How do missives work exactly? Someone writes a letter on a page, someone reads them, information passes between them. She smirks. Not exactly forthcoming. We can say clever, we can glare at her, or you know what I mean. I'm gonna go with you know what I mean. I meant. If you're asking how masses get from one to another, the short answer is a combination of birds and couriers. Many cities and strongholds keep an aviary, along with birds trained to ferry messages between specific locations. I don't know the details of the training, though. I understand that it's very rewarding. She smiles. Maybe something to take up if I have long enough to retire. Surely the birds can't get everywhere. When birds won't do, either because the recipient has no aviary, or is in one of the road or is on the road or at the lines, couriers run the missives through the nearest aviary to their commander's intended recipient. That is all assuming missives that aren't overly sensitive. Some missives must be hand-delivered to trusted agents, something I've been tasked with more than once. Early in the conquest of the Tiers, sages were tapped for similar duties. Sages and some of the other magical guilds use birds, specifically prepared with rituals that allow them to find the intended recipient of a missive regardless of where they are in the tiers. All this, though, is specific to this corner of the world. All right, now looks like we are going to be able to go through everything as I said. I had hoped to get your perspective on the Overlord. Oh, because we have favor 2 with Tunon, we can continue with this line of conversation. A dangerous interest. What questions has you piqued? We can ask, what exactly is an edict? How is it that we can issue one for the Overlord? What do you think Kairos' end goal is all this? Well, let's ask about the edicts, because we've actually ended 2 so far. You've issued and broken them yourself. You felt that power. What do you think it was? We can say Kairos was speaking through me. The words contain tremendous power within themselves, or it felt as if it was a key unlocking a spell that was already in place. I'm going to say the words themselves contained power. So, if you had the edict again and the same combinations of words, you think it would work again? I don't see why not. Or the power may have resided in these words, but they released when it's read, which seems to be the case. I'm going to go with the second one. Have you noticed any lingering effects? Now, we can go with, when the edict of execution hung over me, it was like a lash to the back. It frightened and hurt, but also empowered. Oh, due to our conquest, we can say, sometimes I catch this whiff of brimstone, but I'm not sure it's me. But I'm pretty sure it's me. I'm gonna go with the conquest option. She nods, scrutinizing your features, but says little other in response. Let's ask her what edict she's read. Most recently, the Edict of Stone against Karn last year. She brushes her lower lip and with her fingertip. Each word I spoke shook the land, drawing moisture from me. I felt Karn's presence as he raged through the soldiers dispatched to stop him, and I felt him weakening under my onslaught. Under the Overlord's, rather. Not that I am convinced the diversion existed. In that moment, I was Kairos' mouthpiece, Kairos' tool. She shakes her head. I still wake with the crust in my eyes. Even freshly laundered, my clothes still bear a thin layer of dust. Ooh, kind of goes with her what we just said about the Edict of Fire and smelling of brimstone. I'm kind of curious what Calio thinks Kairos' end goal is. To win, I suspect. What form that takes, I can make some guesses, but that's all they are, thus far. The Overlord has always had some new front to set soldiers against, some new land to conquer, and opponent to villainize. What's left? What's left when the entire world falls under your control? Do you start melting down swords into plows and devote yourself to developing the society you wanted to establish when you first set yourself to war? Do you seek out dissenters and make them into the new enemy? Or do you manufacture enemies from those most likely to challenge you? As if any of those choices excludes the others. I won't pretend to know the Overlord's mind. I can only guess what it is. Let's try that again. I can only guess that it will be an interesting time. Yeah, I'd say so. And it looks like we have exhausted all of our conversation options with Calio. She nods. Feel free to return if you have further inquiries during the course of your little tour around the tiers. Okay, what about Nerval? Does he have anything new to say? We speak again, so let's speak genuinely and at length with one another. Now, of what matter would you have us discuss? Fatebinder rubs his fingers along the edge of his jaw, regarding you with interest. Come, let us speak freely. And he has nothing new to talk about, so bye, guy. Can we go back up and speak with Tunon, actually? Oh, maybe. Yeah, it looks... Oh, there we go. Fatebinder, you look as if you require my console. What is it you wish? Okay, we don't have anything new to say to him. I did notice there was someone else that I rushed past. And we recognize this guy. It's Bled and Mark. See if he has anything to say. How about a little breathing room, kid? Nope, he has nothing new to say. Alright, well, it would seem we are done here at the Bastard City. I guess now would be as good a time as any to head towards to Lethian's Crossing, as that is our next destination to get the Magebane Helm. I will see you there in a moment. And welcome back to the Lethian's Crossing. I don't believe there was merchants standing out here when we were here last to get Siren. Let's see. Oh, you certainly can't stay here. Let's see what she has to say after that. As you approach the entrance to Lethian Crossing, you see two figures talking intensely with each other. The woman points north and talks. I don't know if we can afford to stay here. The region is too unstable, and our business is suffering because of it. And I have to pay. If I have to pay one more toll or hand over more guard money, I won't have two rings to rub together. But where will we go? There isn't a single place in the tiers that's safe. The Velium Citadel? With the eternal fires finally quenched, our goods wouldn't burst into flame anymore. There has to be... The woman stops speaking when she sees you. Her face pales. Fatebinder, you've returned. She bows quickly, then shifts uncomfortably staring at you. You can ask them who they are. Am I making you nervous, or what seems to be the issue here, or we can just leave? Kinda curious who they are. Me? Oh, Fatebinder. I'm simply a humble merchant, and certainly of no consequence. My assistant and I were trying to determine where we should go next. Conducting business in Lethian Crossing has been a little too volatile for my liking. Am I making you nervous, merchant? No! The word comes out as a shout as she jumps a little. She looks down for a moment, regaining her composure. No. Her voice is a measured cadence as she speaks. I just never expected to find myself in front of a Fatebinder. Welcome to Lethian's Crossing. Based off what her and her assistant were saying, I'm kind of curious what seems to be the issue here. Before, I would have said it was disfavored, what with their infinite list of rules, dour personalities, and strict leader. But after your recent restructuring of power, that's not much of an issue. She clears her throat, nervously glancing around. Either way, it's too dangerous here, so I'm looking for a new place to ply my trade. Well, looks like we're not getting any more information out of her. Thank you, Fatebinder. I won't keep you any longer. Health and rings to you and yours. And they just walk off. Well, if you may recall, the last time we were here, we kind of got rid of the disfavored who were left to guard here, with probably the exception being the Forgebound, which actually, instead of beginning the quest to get the Magebound in earnest, I think I will end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day.